In today's video, we're going to be having a look at the Diamond Select Batman the Animated Series. This is the Premium Collection Catwoman Resin Statue. This resin statue of Catwoman stands approximately 12 inches tall and is based on her appearance in Batman the Animated Series. It is limited to only 3,000 pieces and comes packaged with a certificate of authenticity. The statue was sculpted by Claiborne Moore. Yes, to come included with Catwoman, you get yourself the certificate of authenticity indicating that this is an authentic Diamond Select Toys. Down below, you would have the number sequence out of the limited release of 3,000 copies. One thing that's nice about the statue is getting it out of packaging and getting it out of the box. It's already attached to the base. You don't have to do any sort of assembly whatsoever. The base, we flip it upside down. Once again, you've got your number sequence out of 3,000. But it is really nice looking base bottom. You have the checkerboard of the alternating black and white squares, but even in the black end of it, they've put in almost a white speckling into it as well. Really like the gold trim that they've added not only to the bottom portion of it, but along the top, a very thin line of gold that runs around the full parameter of the oval-shaped base. A couple of larger felt feet also have been included on the underside, so it's not going to scratch any surface that you may have the statue on. I have to say it's actually a considerably heavy piece as well, and overall paint's really clean on the statue, except for, if I flip it around here, my guess is where the whip was painted, somehow that paint has rubbed itself against the leg of Catwoman here. So I've got a little bit of that black smudge paint, which is a bit of a shame, but overall, like, paint generally is pretty clean on the statue here. Having a look at her face, the face is actually quite nice. Very reminiscent of her appearance, of course, in the earlier Batman animated series before they gave her the more stark, solid black outfit that she would get in the new Batman Adventures. Unfortunately, a little bit of paint, again, I got an issue with the little smudging of paint on her nose area here. The eyelids come across like they're a little, I don't want to say messy, but there's a little bit of almost brown that's, I can see that they were trying to outline the eyelid, but what ends up happening is it kind of makes it look a little on the dirtier side. Face is generally, though, pretty good, minus those 2 points, the smudging of the nose and the areas around the eyelid. Of course, results may vary. That may only be my particular statue here. But I do have to, of course, mention that as well. A rather nice touch that they went with was giving her a wire whip, as opposed to making this resin or something of that material. That obviously would have broken. Making a wire, you're definitely guaranteeing a much more resilient whip. I suppose to that regards, you could technically bend the whip a little bit if you want to sculpt it and maybe kind of have it curled slightly different to what you currently are seeing. This is just the default look as soon as you get it out of packaging. I think the whip cascades quite well, of course running from her bent arm all the way down to her legs. It's a long enough whip as well. A shorter whip I don't think would have looked as good, especially for the stance that they've got the statue in. Yeah, I do really like the pose of Catwoman, where she's almost like in mid-step, and I do also like that she's walking basically on her tippy toes as opposed to the balls of her feet. So it looks like she's kind of creeping through perhaps maybe a museum or some place where she's planning to rob. A nice sculpt on the body, a very sleek and slim sort of portrayal of Catwoman here. Relying more on the primary grays. Not really much in the way of shading. I don't see any real areas where they've added additional shading to the statue, but they've kind of kept it in the same way as what we would see with the animated series. Not really a whole lot of extra shading added, instead just favoring more the grays to kind of get the point across. And you've got like the stark black contrast of the area around her mask, the sleeves that she's wearing, and then of course the gold and black belt that's running across her waist here. pretty overall happy with the presentation of the statue, other than, again, just that little area around her face. It's not to say that's going to be across the board. You may pick up the statue, for example, for yourself, and notice that you don't have any issues with that little smudging on her nose and like the areas around her eyes. The eyes really don't bother me as much, especially for the fact that the statue is going to be displayed really not to this close proximity anyways. I'm going to have it a little bit further away in the display cabinet, so I'm not going to maybe notice it as much. But I do want to mention it and bring it to your attention, as this statue does unfortunately have it. But I mean, you could chalk it up to like eye shadow, for example. It just seems a little on the dirty side, but it does still look really good though. In final looks and comparing the statue to the box that she came included inside, I do notice though that on the box, and you may see it for yourself here as well, that the eyelids are the exact same color as the rest of her face, that same lighter flesh tone. The shading looks like it's actually supposed to be above the eyelids so that the eyelids do stand out. So happens that the statue that we're looking at, I think it might have been slightly reversed, where the shading was actually applied to the eyelid portion rather than above it where it was supposed to be. So I think when you eventually get this statue in hand, you may not notice the same issues that I just noticed, of course, having a look at the statue. You may find that the shading is in perfect placement above the eyelids where they really belong. And that being the only small nitpick I can make about the statue, I overall really like how this piece turned out. It's got a great looking stance to it. It really conveys how Catwoman is a very stealthy burglar as she's kind of walking on her tiptoes across the checkerboard flooring. Love the face sculpt, again, slightly just off because of the shading in the around the eyelid area, but overall it's got a great looking design to it. It's got one of the more classic looking Catwoman designs in the traditional gray and the black, which I really like, until of course they changed it to an all black for the new Batman Adventures. If you are a big fan of the Batman animated series, I would really say pick this statue up, as it's really one of the better ones that Diamond Select have released of the female statues. Today we were having a look at the Batman Animated Series Premier Collection Catwoman Resin Statue. It should be now currently available in comic book stores, and if you do maybe go to your comic book store and don't see it, you can certainly ask the person that works there if they can order it in for you as well. So guaranteed, if you can't find it, they'll be more than happy to order this one in for you, and I really would suggest adding this one to your collection. Today, once again, the Diamond Select Batman the Animated Series Premier Collection Catwoman Resin Statue. If you guys haven't had a chance yet to subscribe to this channel, make sure you hit that little subscribe button down below. More figure reviews and statue reviews will be coming your way soon. As always, thanks for watching, as you always do. I'll see you next time.